Hi there and welcome to your weekly wrap-up. Let's have a look at the events and data which have been shaping the markets this week. Joining me today is Karl Loomes, a securities lending market analyst with SunGard's Astec Analytics. Welcome to Dukascopy, Karl. So firstly, what were the equity risks affecting the markets this week?
Well, obviously one of the biggest things we've seen this week has been the banking sector after the results of the European stress tests. Banca Monte dei Paschi in Italy was one of the biggest ones that got hit, obviously given its bad results. So our data has shown, suggests that short sellers have been building positions even in the run-up to the results actually, and that's continued even as its share price fell. So I think it's pretty much doubled, actually borrowing has doubled in that company since the stress test results came out. And the one we saw was, a surprising event was after Optical Sciences' rocket crash this week. That brought a lot of attention to the idea and the viability of private space flight and private space travel. Our data has kind of shown that most of the time for Optical Science it's been short covering this week rather than placing new bets against the stock, which probably hints that short sellers aren't expecting it to be a fundamental negative for that sector.
With regards to the Fed's speech this week, has the stock market suffered a loss?
Well, we saw some immediate reaction after the speech, both in the US and Europe, but it was very short-lived. Investors pretty much seemed to have kind of shrugged that off fairly quickly. In the US, for example, we did see a little bit of short covering coming through, but that was probably more to do with the trend that we've seen over this past month of prices generally rising in the US. In the European markets, there's not really been much reaction from short selling, which is the proxy for, borrowing, securities lending, which is a proxy for short selling. That could be significant in itself. When we don't see a reaction from the short side to something like this, it certainly suggests or hints at the fact that they're not really seeing anything new or something that they've not already expected.
And looking ahead, are there any stocks that we can look out for next week?
Yeah, so there's quite a few earnings numbers coming out next week. An interesting one might be the Swiss company Transocean, which is an offshore drilling contractor. They've got their results coming out, and it's been a company we've seen in and out of our weekly hot stocks list most of this year, actually. And perhaps for about the past 2 months now, it's had a steady increase in borrowing. It's been up about 25% since the start of September. Any kind of shock to the earnings numbers there, given such high levels of short positions outstanding, probably will be something to watch out for. In the UK, we've got, again, a few big names coming out with their numbers. I know AstraZeneca, Imperial Tobacco and Glencore. They're always worth watching because they're often flagships or benchmarks for their sectors as a whole. Another one to look at might be Tullow Oil. That's not really seen much borrowing activity for most of this month, but for the past few days, maybe the past week, we've started to see borrowing increasing, which suggests short sellers have been increasing their positions. This close to earnings numbers, that could suggest they're expecting something on the negative side.
Thanks, Karl. Great to speak with you. That's all for your weekly wrap-up for today. Enjoy your weekend.